What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are all having an amazing Sunday, and welcome to our Sunday Stock Talk. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 stocks that our group members see value in. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. The first one that we do have to cover is going to be Nvidia. Nvidia reports earnings after the market closes on Wednesday, and this is everything that you need to know about it. If you didn't watch today's earlier video, we go into a little bit more detail. If you want to go check that out, please be my guest. But Nvidia reports earnings November 20th after the market closes and has an expectation of earnings per share of 74 cents per share. Revenue is expected to be $33.09 billion. This is the forecast. Now, don't get me wrong. Expectations for earnings per share and revenue are very important. What's more important is guidance of what's to come. We've said it so many times, so please make sure that when you see this company report earnings, if all of a sudden it begins to sell off, but it exceeded EPS and exceeded revenue, you'll have to look into most likely the guidance, because then that means that the guidance was lower than what was expected. Now, does that mean that me, Ricky, believes that Nvidia is not going to skyrocket? No. I mean, Nvidia is quite literally the perfect stock lately. So I do believe that it's going to perform very well. I do believe that it's most likely going to continue to show signs of higher highs and higher lows, and possibly even outperform what Wall Street is expecting, as long as, again, not only does it exceed expectation, but guidance of what's to come for 2025 also exceeds Wall Street's expectation. And that is something that both you and I can't ever predict. So I'm very excited to share that experience with you guys. I know that most likely the market will be trading sideways leading up to Nvidia reporting earnings. It often is a very volatile day for Nvidia. Anytime before it reports earnings, it might aggressively sell off. It might aggressively push up based off of what it's expecting. Please do not put yourself in a position in which you cannot tolerate when it comes down to this given stock. Is Nvidia a super cheap stock to buy right now? No. Is Nvidia possibly so overbought that it can't push anymore? No, it's incredibly bullish, right? It can definitely make higher highs and higher lows. It has hit highs of 150 per share, but again, there's a lot of hype and a lot of momentum with Nvidia right now. So with that being said, it just wouldn't surprise me if that hype does continue, as long as everything comes in as expected. Now, that is just the one that I quickly wanted to highlight for you guys. The only one that I wanted, and that was really the only one. The remaining 4 stocks I want you guys to choose. So I appreciate you guys tuning on into this live session. I go live every single Sunday for our Sunday Stock Talk, and I do it for you guys for free here on YouTube. So all you literally need to do is be subscribed to the channel, and you can partake in the live chat. So please be my guest. Feel free to share your top stock in that live chat, and I'd be more than happy to break it down for you. If you want to tune into our daily live trading sessions, right now our sale is for $1 a day. If you want to learn more about that, so you can watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow when the market opens, that's the second link in the description down below. All right, let's see it. All right, I knew that one was most likely going to be one. Tesla. Tesla has been incredibly bullish. Actually had a conversation with one of our LPP traders, I'm pretty sure. They're like, Ricky, on the 5-minute time frame, why is it that we got faked out with Tesla? Right? Different time frames give you different perspectives. And on the 1 minute and on the 5 minute, Tesla might be looking like, it was showing signs of weakness. Why is it all of a sudden beginning to recover? But if you look at the 4-hour, it paints a very different picture. And this is why, again, if you have ever covered the LPP lesson library, one of the things that we always highlight is, again, looking at those different time frames so you can get different perspectives when it comes down to the stocks that you might be trading. And if you look at this on the 4-hour, you can see that it really nicely bounced off of that EMA on this 4-hour time frame. So then now it actually does make sense of like, oh, okay, it found its support here at the EMA, as it often tends to do, and then began to show signs of a reversal and recovery. To my understanding, NASDAQ market as of right now is in the green, so it wouldn't really surprise me that, especially with all the hype that Tesla has going on, being a part of the Trump administration, especially with what happened over the weekend and the UFC event, seeing Elon with Trump and that entire Republican administration. I mean, it's a very strong position for Elon to be in. Now, again, this is all based off of forecast, and in my opinion, it's short-lived. We don't actually know if Trump is going to actually implement everything that Elon wants him to implement. Now, Elon is in a very favorable seat. So this is something that I've never seen before, where the CEO of a publicly traded company, and not just the CEO, but the most famous CEO in the entire world. I guess that's just my opinion, but you let me know what CEO and founder, I guess he's not necessarily a founder, but let me know what CEO is more popular, relevant, rich than Elon, right? He's in a very powerful position, and it looks like it's very favorable for him and his companies, Tesla being one of them. So I understand the hype. I just want you to understand that if this hype begins to fade and things do not become as favorable as we once expected, remember, the stock market is a leading indicator, meaning that it often gets ahead of itself when it comes down to what it thinks it's going to happen. The real estate market's like a lagging indicator. It takes time to be able to adapt to what's actually happening in the real world. The stock market is leading, right? So therefore, it often gets ahead of itself. So please understand that correlation. I'm really interested to see that, is Tesla going to begin to recover? Into my understanding, Tesla is in the green during these extended hours, but these extended hours really don't mean anything because the market is not actually open. So it really, truly doesn't matter when it comes down to what it's doing right now. It matters once the market opens and how it's trading then. As of right now, I would say that because Tesla has such a large market cap, it's now sitting at $1 trillion. I'd be paying very close attention to see if we see a correlation on how Nvidia is trading. If Nvidia begins to sell off based off of fear or companies de-risking themselves right before it reports earnings and it begins to sell off, Nvidia selling off can drag down the NASDAQ and S&P 500, therefore also dragging out possibly Tesla. Tesla is very trendy right now, so it might not. As of right now, do I think Tesla is a cheap stock? No. Do I think that Tesla can continue to get hyped up? 100%. I would say play it day by day, let direction kind of present itself. And if it looks like a bullish day, as long as there's no break of pattern, I wouldn't mind going long on it as a day trade. If it begins to sell off and direction is clear that it's for the bears, then I wouldn't mind going in as a day trade and going short. Tesla's at a very critical point, and you guys, please let me know what you think. But Tesla is overbought enough that it has a lot of pullback potential. But it is so trendy and it's so relevant because of the position that Elon is in that it could continue to push and skyrocket. So that is why I think it's very important for you to be open-minded, that there is no one right with one other side being wrong. Right now, markets can change on a dime, but right now also markets are incredibly bullish. So let's not be afraid to take it day by day. We don't have to make super impulsive decisions that might end up putting us in a very uncomfortable position, 1 or 2 weeks from now when things are not as trendy. So ask yourself, is this a long-term positive catalyst or a short-term positive catalyst where, again, you want to mitigate risk or mitigate your position size by just taking it day by day instead of entering these full-on swing trades at these overbought levels. And then all of a sudden, if Tesla begins to pull on back to 260 per share, you're like, well, what the heck did I do buying at 330? Okay, so it's just really important for you to understand, the big picture, but also the day-by-day picture. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Yeah, it says the futures are strong. I think bottom of a pullback was definitely Friday. Personally, I think the Santa Claus rally is underway. I'm buying every little dip, think we fly tomorrow. So NASDAQ futures are in the green. They're not, I think the last time I checked, I think NASDAQ futures were up about half a percent. So I've seen it many times where it's up 0.5%. And by the time the market opens, markets are back in the red, right? It means absolutely nothing right now. And if anything, when we look at Tesla, it's still possibly forming lower highs and lower lows. So if you want to make a decision right now with how they're looking during extended hours, be my guest. I'm really excited to go right at market open with our LPP team and see how the market actually trades. You guys have seen it firsthand, and feel free to share your opinion in the live chat. But we've seen it many times where markets are selling off pre-market, and then all of a sudden they skyrocket right when the market opens. How many of you have ever been trapped with that? How many times has the market been gapping up during the pre-market session, and then all of a sudden markets open, and then boom, a huge pullback? You cannot make a definite decision on how things are trading during extended hours, especially right now. Markets can change on a dime. And remember, if you choose to take an aggressive position because you are so certain, then again, be in a position to tolerate those significant and certain pullbacks as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Coinbase. I'm actually really glad that you brought that one up, Luis. The reason I'm really glad that you brought that one up is because what goes up when Coinbase goes up? Let me ask you guys that. Let's see how much you guys pay attention. What goes up and can move Coinbase? Why is Coinbase so bullish right now? Why do I care to buy Coinbase? What the heck? I don't care about a crypto platform. Why would I care to invest in it? Sell it to me. Why? I want you to be able to explain it to me like you would be able to explain it to your friends. Why do I care about Coinbase? It's at $305 per share. Why would I want to buy it up here? That's stupid, right? It was trading at 150. You want me to buy it now? Why would I want to trade it now? Explain it to me. Why? And I'm not challenging you. I'm asking you because it would make sense to trade Coinbase and I could go long on it, but why? I want you to explain it to me. Why? No one can explain to me why Coinbase is going up or down, or it's a little bit more bullish right now on the 4-hour time frame. You have no idea, Paige? Buy Dogecoin now. No one? It follows Bitcoin. It's influenced by Bitcoin, I think it is a good way to put it. Anytime that we see a very bullish rally with Bitcoin, we see a very bullish move with Robinhood and with Coinbase. Anytime we see any significant bearish move with Bitcoin, we see a pretty significant bearish move with Coinbase and with Robinhood. Are they one for one? No, it's not. Bitcoin moves 1%, so does Coinbase. It just influences Coinbase's, I would say price action. Right now, crypto is incredibly bullish. It is this close to hitting $100,000 per coin. You guys know me. You guys know that I don't care for crypto. I don't care for Bitcoin. You know that I don't like to feed into the hype. But also, I like to be open-minded. And I know that if Bitcoin does continue to push up, so can Coinbase. So if Bitcoin continues to hold at the current price of 90,000, 88,000, 92,000, I can't be surprised if Bitcoin or Coinbase and Robinhood continue to hold their ground. But let me ask you this. Now that we understand that, what happens right at these overbought levels now because there's pretty significant pullback? I don't like shorting Bitcoin. I don't know if you can short Bitcoin. I don't have one of those crypto exchanges or anything like that. And I heard their fees are incredibly expensive. So what happens if we begin to see Bitcoin to start selling off? If it goes from 90,000 to 85,000 to 80,000 and we start seeing a pullback. As a trader that trades in the market and that I understand the correlation and the influence between Coinbase and Robinhood, what can I get into? I can get into shorting Coinbase or Robinhood, right? If I get a confirmation that Bitcoin is starting to sell off and curl over, I can go into a short Bitcoin ETF. That is true, very true, right? For those that don't like to short. Or I could choose to short Coinbase, to short Robinhood. If you're part of my LPP team, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've covered this within our live trading sessions, and the pullback is pretty significant. I'm not talking about a 2 or 3 or 4% move. If Bitcoin does not actually hit 100,000 per coin and it does begin to sell off, based off of the current price and based off of previous lows, if it goes back to $206 per share, which is very realistic if you think about how significant the correction could be for Bitcoin, Coinbase can completely drop sub 200, but this alone would be a 30% move. It's not it has to happen, but it's hey, maybe I will set my alert on Bitcoin if it breaks support, not because I want to trade Bitcoin, but because I want to follow up with Coinbase and with Robinhood and possibly enter a short, right? It's useful to understand what influences the other, not because you have to trade it, but simply because you can choose to if the trade meets your criteria. Okay? Is there another one? Is there another one that you guys would like me to break down? All right, PLTR. We got Yash Patel. I like that. All right, PLTR. Here we go. So this is one that I personally don't trade it at all, right? I want it to pull back, but guess what? It doesn't matter what I want. I've watched this stock from $20 per share to when it surpassed $30 per share, then 40, and then 50, and then 60, and it freaking doesn't stop. So what I've learned from it is, and I'm certain of this, is that I know eventually it will pull back, but not right now. It is so incredibly bullish. It would be very naive for me to enter a short. If the past 2 months and the past 3 months are of proof of anything, it's that this thing can continue to rally, and I just have to respect it. So if I'm so certain that it's going to correct itself, then how about I challenge myself to stay patient, right? Just as quick as it goes up, it's natural for it to eventually correct itself once it actually curls on over and confirms that sell-off. So I do agree. PLTR would be a very significant stock that I would love to pay attention to. For you guys that might not like shorting, maybe you want to continue to go long on it. I respect that. I would take it day by day, just my approach. But you feel free to do what you think, right, is right. Every time that it pulls back, it only pulls back really to this EMA. So it is a little bit on the overbought side, even on recent charts. But if it pulls on back and you want to go long on it, as long as there's no break of pattern, I could see that. Taking it day by day, mitigating risk, as long as it meets your criteria and you can, manage that risk. I think that makes complete sense. But if it begins to curl on over and you know that it's that overbought, this is where your risk management has to be A1. If your risk management is not A1, and you don't anticipate in cutting losses, I would just completely stay away from this. And the reason why is that there is a lot of downside potential, even just on recent pullbacks, right? This thing has gone from lows of $40 per share all the way to highs of 66. And it did that in just 14 days, in 2 trading weeks, or in 2 weeks alone. It went up 63%. This is not a stock you just want to have fun with. This is not a stock that you just want to dabble with when you're trying to short. This is a stock you have to be very calculated with. So I would say if you respect the stock, it should respect you. You respect it with position size and you respect it with your risk management. But PLTR is a super trendy stock. It's AI focused. It's government based, right? Government focused. And it looks like it's absolutely killing it. So if you want to take it day by day as it's indicating signs of an uptrend, I think that's lovely, right? For me, it's too overbought. It's not something that would meet my criteria. I would just be watching it to wait for confirmation of a sell-off and then short it as it pulls on back. I would love to short this thing, but it's so incredibly bullish. I know I have to be very patient. So those are my thoughts on it. All right, let's go ahead and do, how many more do we need to do? 2 more? Is that cool? 2 more? SMCI. We have to talk about that one. All right, I'm going to do one more after this. Make sure you're smashing that like button. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Why do we care to talk about SMCI? Why? Why is it up 16.68%? Do any of you guys know? So let's explain. So SMCI sold off a pretty significant amount because it failed to report its quarterly earnings. And then when it did that, there's accounting issues. There's a handful of different things. Then on top of that, it triggered a notification from NASDAQ of potentially getting delisted from the NASDAQ exchange. That's a huge red flag. That'd be terrible for SMCI. So it aggressively sold off. Negative news after negative news, right? Really bad. On top of that, after it started selling off, when things looked like they were getting really bad, they stated that NASDAQ gave them a warning that if they don't fix this and file by Monday, they might get delisted and removed from the NASDAQ market. And supposedly based off of what they shared on Friday extended hours. The reason we gapped up is because they expect to file by Monday. And if that's the case, then we might see a little uptick. Overall, I see SMCI to kind of be a Hail Mary. And they kind of did this back in 2017. I want to see if I can actually pull it up. In 2017, it had a history of something like this, but it wasn't this crazy when it came down to its trading volume. But it was going through some trouble back in 2017, strong descending pattern. It got very low, and then all of a sudden, it began to recover from there with higher highs, higher lows from $1, $5, $10, $20, $30, all the way to 122. And for those that do not know, it did go through a 1 to 10 stock split, reducing the price per share. And now it looks like that wasn't maybe the best idea. Because now it's trading at $18 per share. So this thing's been through it. It has been through it before. And the reason I call it the Hail Mary is because if it does make it back, because it does have really strong partnerships with Nvidia, if it does begin to make a recovery and it works its way back up to $100 plus per share, that would be the Hail Mary kind of approach. But there's accounting issues that they've been, experiencing that also happened back in 2017. There was NASDAQ requirements that were not being met, very similar to 2017. So it just seems like it's a company that hasn't always been very well ran, and the partnership that it has with Nvidia has been pretty significant and valuable, obviously, for SMCI. SMCI has been through it and back. It went from hitting all-time highs to highs of 122 per share to hitting 52-week lows and possibly getting delisted from the NASDAQ exchange. So is this a super safe stock that you can just invest your money into and you're bound to make your money back? No, I don't view it that way. If that's how you view it, then again, we just see things differently. This is a stock that's incredibly bearish. It's going through a really tough time, and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It has gone through this before, so if you want to bet on that, that's on you. But as of right now, there's no indication of an actual recovery. It did have a nice little pop on Friday due to the news of it possibly not getting delisted. But nonetheless, it has these little short-lived rallies, and then it falls again and makes new lows. This is what we talk about with lower highs and lower lows. It upticks, it tries to hold, but then it just sells off right away. So again, is this a safe stock? No. Is this a safe play for beginners? No. Is this a high risk, high reward type of stock? 100%. So we'll see what ends up happening in the weeks and months that follow to see if SMCI does end up making a comeback. And I'd love to follow up with it. I've talked a lot of shit on it. When it was trading at 122, I thought it was way overvalued, way overhyped. It looks like in this case I was right. I don't want to see this company fail. I know I've talked about it, and I've kicked it, I guess, when it's down. But in reality, especially at the price that it's at, if it learns its lesson and it begins to recover, more money to be made, right? For all of us and all of you guys, and great. But nonetheless, prove it, right? Start showing steady signs of higher highs, higher lows, proper price action, showing bullish movements. We're just not there yet. Again, I don't have to catch the bottom of anything. I would rather be late to a rally than early to a sell-off. And we talk about that all the time. So I'm going to do one more stock. If you want me to break down your stocks, smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and share your top stock in that live chat. Let's see. Which one are we going to break down? Let's see. Crocs. We haven't done that one in a while. Oh, wow. Crocs has a terrible setup. Crocs used to be incredibly bullish. It was incredibly bullish. Huge downturn, now significant downturn. Wow. I actually kind of like this. I'll have to look a little bit more into the fundamentals of what's been leading to this downturn. But if we see this, it's had these nice little downturns to the moving average. This has to be my favorite stock that we've talked about so far because it's not a very common stock we talk about. And it looks like it has a possible nice dip buy opportunity based off of previous patterns where it sells off and it has a V-shaped recovery. It sells off and has a V-shaped recovery. It sells off, and as long as it begins to indicate signs of recovery, it has a V-shaped recovery. So let's talk about potential recovery potential. So this would be a pretty similar setup to the 3 stages of a reversal that we talk about in the LPP lesson library. It's not about buying it now. I would just be watching it now. And once it begins to consolidate and begins to show price action indicating signs of a recovery, then at that point, again, I don't have to buy it at $98 or at $80 per share. I can buy it at 110, 120. I don't have to be perfect with my entry, but I would rather buy when it's indicating signs of an uptrend and then take profits at overbought levels rather than try to predict the bottom of something that simply might continue to sell off. So what I'll do is I'll just set appropriate alerts for the break above and the break below. And I'd love to add this to my watch list and follow up with it. So let me just double check. Yep. What watch list is it in? Oversold watch list. And it looks like that's the perfect watch list for it to be in. I like that. I think, yeah, the company had bad earnings call and their partners show company. Okay. And their partners show company. Hey, dude. Okay. That makes sense. I'd love to look a little bit more into it because I know technicals are not going to be it when it comes down to this. Sometimes you do have to do a fundamental analysis and see what happened when it reported earnings, what's up with its guidance, because if guidance does look bad for up and coming quarters, right? It's not just a buy the dip opportunity. It's, okay, next quarter, is it progressing? Is it actually more profitable? Is it growing year over year? And those are where you can kind of just pick up on those little signals of, hey, things are actually getting better. This might be a time where I might want to start taking small positions into it. So, yep. I mean, that's really just it. Someone asked me to break down Nike super last minute just because I like the company. Nike is a company that I would love to buy when it actually begins to indicate signs of a recovery. As of right now, I view it as a falling knife, lower highs, lower lows. I hate seeing Nike this way because obviously it's like a, what do I want to call it? A household name. And I think that's pretty safe to say. But it doesn't matter if it's household, right? A household name can still be a pretty shitty ran company or publicly traded stock. And as of right now, lower highs, lower lows, no proper indication of a recovery. And I just do not want to buy something that continuously is indicating signs of a sell-off. Now, if you can tolerate the time that it might take for this thing to recover, then sure, be my guest. But again, I would rather buy when it's in the early stages of a potential recovery. This would be something that I would consider adding to my watch list and following up with as a long-term play. I wouldn't care to trade something like this, especially when it's been so consistently bearish. So again, not just technical analysis, but performing a quick little fundamental analysis. And I'll leave it at that. So I appreciate you guys tuning on in. Again, Nvidia reporting earnings Wednesday after the market closes. We will be live streaming it. So just another reason to subscribe to the channel. And remember, if you want to join and watch me trade live every single morning starting tomorrow, right now, you can click the second link in the description down below. That long link that you see in the description, that is a custom discount code that will break it down for $1 a day is what LPP will break down to. So if you've ever wanted to join, ask yourself a simple question. Is it worth it to join for $1 a day? It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. It's designed for complete beginners. And yes, you get access to the A to Z video lesson library. And again, second link in the description down below. If you do end up signing up, please make sure that you watch the first 3 videos in the lesson library so you have a better understanding of how to access the Discord and how to watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Hope that earned a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.